So welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been an entrepreneur working from home for many decades. Now, years ago, I discovered a very lucrative hidden market, which at the time had been around for a couple of hundred years, but when I discovered it, I was surprised. At the same time, I was delighted. Now, it was a subset of the traditional real estate business. Now, what do most people think? Traditional real estate business as being homes for sale, maybe vacant residential lots for sale, sometimes small office buildings, sometimes small farms, things like that. But mostly homes, that's what people think of. Well, this business is part of that business, except it's the properties that the people haven't paid taxes on. So, how can I work from home and get paid is your question. What skills do you have? That's where you probably ought to start answering it. At least it's a good place to start. If you want to work at home, are you already trained as a professional? Do you have some kind of a degree? Or maybe you're an engineer? Maybe you're a legal assistant? Or maybe you're a craftsman? Maybe you're a journeyman or a master at one of the crafts that you could be. So I don't know which you are, but if you're going to work from home, you're going to have a skill. All right. The point is, if you want to work from home, people will pay for your skill if you can do something that's going to solve their problems. So working remotely is not magic. As a matter of fact, it's really a component of our whole economy now. A lot of people want to work from home. But the key is you must have a skill. Now, once you have the skill, you'll have to add one other thing to it. You'll have to have a promotional skill. By that I mean you're going to have to let people know, because when they drive by your house, they can't tell what skills you have. However, if you learn how to promote, you could do that on Fiverr so they knew that you're available for this, or Upwork, or there are other sites. But the point is, you need a promotional skill. It's basically called marketing. So my point is, the marketplace needs to know that you have the skill. Now, if you don't have skills now, it's not unusual for people not to have skill. So if you don't have a skill, then you need to start acquiring it. You need to start going to school, doing whatever you have to do. Otherwise, you're going to do unskilled work, and that means unskilled pay. That means you're not going to make very much money. So I don't spend any time teaching people to do things that are very simple, where they're going to earn $200 a week or $300 a week. I tell them, forget all that. Spend your time in school, get a skill so that you can do something that will help other people. So I'm going to discuss the question, can I work at home and get paid? Well, I'm going to tell you, you definitely can. I'll be right back. To start with, you need to adjust your mindset. Are you willing to help others? All right. Everyone that's successful in business is helping a lot of other people. So there's usually two groups that want to help people. One is the freelancers. They just want to do one little job and work for a lot of different employers. And then there's another group that really are entrepreneurs, and they want to start a home business which they can grow and ultimately become wealthy or famous or whatever it is that they want, and have other people keep that business running. All right, so those are two what seem to be similar, but they're not. One is building a business, and the other one is having fun because they're a freelancer. They come and go as they please. Most people want to be a freelancer and not have the responsibility of running a business. All right, so if you want to run a business and be an entrepreneur, well, you can work at home and really get paid, because there's a lot of people that are looking to have their problems solved. And if you can do that, well, no more spending a lot of money and time commuting back and forth, no more spending all that time or the money running a vehicle. So thousands of people work remotely. As a matter of fact, there's probably as many people in some communities working remotely as there is, going to work in factories and office buildings, because so much work has been now spread out. So is that a good idea? I think it's a great idea, but you've got to learn how to promote yourself or do word of mouth advertising, one or the other. All right, so there's a definite promotion component of working for yourself. If you don't promote, you're probably not going to get enough work to do. All right, so let's continue and learn some business that you can make some real money at, all right? I'm talking about real money now, not just in nickels and dimes. So working from home is no longer the exception to the rule. People spend multiple hours working at home. Sometimes you'll work a lot of hours and not even get paid for them when you're working for yourself, because you have to get the job done and you bid it as a job. The other side of that is, if you're working by the hour, you're going to get paid for every hour you work. But then you're going to have restrictions of having a boss. All right, so I'm in the information business. So in order to sell distance learning educational material, what do I have to do? I'm either going to have to put it on video or audio, or put it on a blog. I'm going to have to do something with so you can consume it. All right, so if you're going to consume it, then I've got to put it in a way that you can do that. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to hire outside people from Fiverr or Upwork and ask them if they can edit the videos. For example, the video I'm doing now, not only does it have to be written, but then after it's written, it has to be transcribed, and then it has to be put on a screen so that we can make a video out of it. All of those are skills that can be done outside the office. So today I'm talking from a studio in the back of my office, but everything from here, after we leave the office, could be done from outside. So those are all skills that people are willing to pay for. Now, is there enough business there? I don't know if there's enough, but the point is, it's something that freelancers would love to do, and in some cases, some people start a business of just doing editing. All right, now, which is the most risky? Well, the most risky business is when you decide you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to build a business. Building a business is a skill. All right, being a freelancer is easy. Just tell them what your skill is, get the work, and then walk away from it. So one's a low risk, and the other is medium to high risk. All right, so what we're talking about today is how can I work from home and get paid? All you have to do is have a skill. Whatever your skill might be, you need to advertise it. All right, once you advertise it and let people know, people will pay for your skill. All right, so I'll show you a skill right now that's worked very well for me. And that skill is, it's a subset of real estate, and it's not unusual for real estate people to be around, but this is a subset that people don't know about. And what don't they know about? Well, they don't want to learn about defaulted real estate. They don't want to take the time to learn that across the country, thousands of properties will go into default. Okay, well, they're thinking about mortgages. Well, they go default on taxes. Now, why don't people take taxes? Well, some people don't pay their taxes simply because they got a divorce, or they moved away, or they abandoned the property, or they don't have the money, or they passed away. I mean, we could go on and on. So the local government is going to have thousands of these properties nationwide. Now, these properties are available at auctions. What kind of auctions? Tax defaulted auctions. In 5,000 auctions every single year, 5,000 auctions take place, and that's a combination of one or two auctions in up to 3,000 plus counties. So we have 3,000 counties. All 3,000 counties have properties to auction. They let you know about that in the newspaper and on the county website. Anybody can buy at the auction. It's a public auction. So what does the county do to encourage people to buy at those properties? Well, folks, it's amazing what the county does. They discount the property 60%, 70%, 80%, and they start the bidding at very close to the back taxes. All right, so someone didn't pay the tax. What does the county want? They want the back taxes. All right, so you've got that. Now, what does the county want to do? They want to sell it and at least collect the back taxes. So that means they're going to sell for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Then when they sell the property, they cross out the mortgage. In other words, they delete it, they cancel the mortgage and the deed of trust loan. So now you're buying it 10 or 20 cents on the dollar if you're getting it at starting bid, and it doesn't have a mortgage. You're getting the idea. There could be much upside in that property. All right, so a $100,000 property could certainly be discounted by 60%, 70%, or 80%. So what's my objective in teaching a course? My objective is to teach people how to make $25,000, $50,000 on one deal. So, folks, I'm not going to be the advisor that's going to tell you, turn off all the lights to save money. I'm not going to be the advisor that's going to say, all right, well, it's time for you to cut back on the grocery bill. I'm not going to be your advisor that's going to say, stop going out to eat. You are not going to save your way to wealth. If you're going to make money, you're going to get into business. And when you're going to get into business, you're going to have to take some risk. And when you get into business, you'll look at it and say, where can I make the most money? So let me show you a little bit about reinvention. What are we going to do to get reinvented? Well, what we're going to do is we're not going to go out and try and make $250 or $500 a week. Let's go out and do our work and buy a property at a tax defaulted auction for 10 or 20 cents. And then because the county has discounted it, we bought it at 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. Why don't we sell it for 50 cents on the dollar? Well, if it was a $100,000 property, you just made an awful lot of money. I mean, an awful lot of money. So which is better for you? To cut back on the grocery bill, park the car so you don't use gasoline? I see all those recommendations every day. Folks, you want to make large sums of money? You don't necessarily have to be a doctor or an engineer or an attorney or a professor. You don't have to be any of those things. You can be an entrepreneur and learn a skill like this one, a subset of real estate, and it's around all the time, doesn't have recessions up and down. Anybody can do this. Why can anybody do it? Because it's a public auction, and all the county wants to do, remembering there's 3,000 counties doing this, all the county wants to do is sell the property so that they get the property back on the tax roll, and they're collecting every year, they're collecting the annual taxes. That's what they want. Well, if you can buy properties for 10 and 20 cents on the dollar, and you can sell them for 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar, why wouldn't you want to learn how to do that? You can change your destiny. You can do that, and you can do it by getting to know this business. So I'll give you a few seconds about a Wisconsin couple recently. They started out and they were worried about money, and they were really big worried about money because they could see the inflation taking place. So we taught them the business. The first property they bought was a livable home. The tax assessed value was $50,000. They paid $8,000. So what's that? Less than 20 cents on the dollar. They spent $4,000 cleaning it up, taking down an old garage, and then they resold it way below the $50,000. They sold it way below the $50,000, and over a period of time, because they're going to take installment sales, they're going to make $37,000. Now, I don't have time to tell you more, but I can tell you this: they invested $12,000. They're going to make $37,000. If that appeals to you, then you want to keep watching these videos. I'm Ted Thomas. 2 words of caution before I go. 1, don't buy a property unless you put boots on the ground and you've seen the property. Why? What if there was a fire? What if there was a hurricane? What if there was a big windstorm? What if it was next to a chicken farm? Think about all that. All right. Second rule that you want to pay attention to, and close attention, is don't buy anything that you haven't already thought what you're going to sell it for. The beauty of the business is you can buy for a bargain, you want to sell for a bargain. Do you have enough margin to do that? So you want to do that before, figure all that out before you do any buying. Right below me is a free gift.